Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming tonight to the Riverfront reading series. And we're so pleased to have Susan Whitmore and Denise Lowe read for us tonight. Riverfront readings, we partner with the Writers Place. And so I want to make sure we thank Mary Frances and the Writers Place for that partnership. Susan's going to begin and just so pleased to have Susan. And I was on the board of the Writers Place when Susan was the executive director, and I won't say how long ago that was, but it was a while back. And then just have been pleased to work with her in our writing worlds, but also in our professional worlds, and just have a great deal of respect for Susan and her work. So Susan is the author of the recently released collection of poems, Life Inside the Body, Kelsey Books 2020. Her previous collections include Your House is Floating, Liquid Light Press 2013, The Melinda Poems, Pudding House Press 2004, The Invisible Woman, Singular Speech Press 1991, and The Sacrifices, Mellon Poetry Press 1990. Whitmore has a BA from Vassar and an MFA from Emerson. So let's please give a warm welcome to Susan Whitmore. Please feel free to show your appreciation in chat for our readers. We save the chat for them, and also the recording. We are being recorded, and we will get the recording to the readers as well. So thank you for coming, and Susan, you're on.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. And I also wanted to thank Riverfront and the Writers Place for helping to set this up. And I'm very indebted to Denise also for reading with me tonight. She was also kind enough to write some words for me on this book, which I'm reading from tonight. This is Life Inside the Body, which just came out, well, not just, it came out at the end of July. And it's been a little hard promoting it with the pandemic, but I'm just really delighted to be able to do this reading and share some of the poems with you tonight. And the book is available on Amazon or through the publisher, Kelsey Books. So, and I also just want to thank everybody from across the country who's here tonight that came to listen, and it just really warms my heart. So thank you all. So I thought I'd start with the poem that is the title poem for the book. Life Inside the Body. I like the way my boots fit, finally, after 2 winters of wear and the sound of my heels on wood. I like the way my hip sockets swivel perfectly in the pelvic bone, smooth as silver, as I walk down the hallway. I live alone inside my body, a blue flame glued to shining sinew and tendon, woven into the web of skin that keeps the lifeboat skimming the bright water of this day, that. I would that you could touch me there, but it's not the way it works, apparently, and I've tried. There was the time you found me weeping on your doorstep, making a mess of the flagstones. And all those nights I tangled my fingers in your hair, trying to pull you inside. Turns out, pleasure can be had in boots, swinging my own hips in the hallway, the miracle of skeletal construction as tangible as desire.
I hate poetry.
Throat chakra blue. This has a quote from Megan Washington at the start. It's impossible to stutter when you sing. My avatar is active, doppelganger masquerade, what I think, say, feel, sequined up into glitter, a word striptease born of root chakra red. It's not my policy to forget about my face, but I burn down to spleen seeds scattering, 1 truth, 2 truth, 3 truth. Vowels climb the spine ladder, 1 bright bone at a time. A, E, I, O, U, a conflagration of consonants, S, R, T, B, Q, my third eye siren wailing. I am trying on my avatar clothes, pulling on motorcycle boots, zipping up a leather jacket, slipping jangly plastic bangles on my wrist. I am trying on my avatar body, wagging a second tongue, swallowing in another throat, squaring up my hips, bending at the knees. She has things to say that may or may not benefit me, but no matter, blue won't wait. Sure. Lust is an illiterate organ beating its pulse against the ground, a feathered wing past thought, speaking or writing it down. Lust has no reason. Water grinds salty teeth against the beach, a white tongue licking sand. Gulls fly overhead, dropping black pits from the plums I've thrown. Purple fists clasped neat around each seed. Here's a firm hand on the thigh, blue Atlantic thrumming an ode on the clavicle's chord. We didn't know you could sing, the clouds say. The hand is a brushstroke opening a throat on Botticelli, fat cupids with dimpled bottoms flitting about a woman grown slack after love. The whole landscape, pastoral sheep, silver cottonwoods, the dumbfounded shepherds, all held between her quivering knees. Here's flesh cradled in the palm's need, wet plum pits stripped of their sweet and gathering sand. Now the gull's satisfaction sounds distant above the cypress-lined shore, a song disappearing into the body's dissipation, these breaking waves. The sorrow tree. My sorrow tree is laden with leaves black as soot, but its fruit is sweet and red. I eat until I'm sick. My helpless reverence for you makes this necessary. Far more than any kindness, your wrong made you an intimate. Your wrong is a bird that won't stop cracking seeds in the cage of my breast. I have tried to walk out of the skin I'm in. I moved to another place with trees laden with leaves green as a hurricane, but their fruit is brown and bitter. Of course, I crawled back into the branches of my sorrow tree and set up house. No one can make me move. No one can move me. You are as gone as yesterday's breath, gone as the sun that set 2 weeks ago. Last year's rain on the lake drank you up and spread you into its billion other drops of water. I can't recall your face, but I remember how you tasted, sweet as an apple. Coda. Beethoven Symphony in C minor. After the peopled extravaganza and an abundance of serial monogamy couched in sweet melodrama, silence bangs a mallet against the dull drum of the house. I am wandering in my palms and the soles of my feet. I am wandering through rooms. I am considering the conundrum of you and the love-hate continuum. Somewhere far away, you are breathing. Somewhere far away, there is a light slivered under your door. The quiet between notes is deafening. I don't expect the next phrase to come when there you are again in pre-dawn birds clipped singing, quietly at first, then cacophony and demand. The insistent conductor driving the strings on with the whip of his baton until all the instruments must run home to the coda, 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 and close. This next poem is called The River, and it's after Colin McCann, a fiction writer. He wrote a short story about a horse that got its hoof caught in stones in a creek bed. And when the rain started to fall, it filled up the creek and the horse was stuck. It was a terrifying story. And this came from that. He's one of my favorite writers. Desire is a horse knowing well how to work. Shoulder the harness, split earth without the whip's instigation, eager to please the God that keeps the stable warm. All animals pray in a slow-tongued way for an end to thirst. Who would guess salvation's wet exacts a cost indifferent as the weather, seizing what it wants without ethic, or that the workhorse neck bent to water invites disaster, 1 foot in the shallows long before the river starts to rise. Desire would see, if desire was wise, the clouded sky so thick with rain, dirt from the field rises in it. Rocks hidden in the muddy stream that snare the hoof won't move until the current kisses the wild, upturned eyes, flooding the seeded acre and lifting the stable from its stone foundation. Rain. Delectable aperture, drop and pour into the bedeviled places I've lost accounting for, washed away, lucid water. Communications, letters, and numbers fall apart. The tethered lexicon I thought would hold the body's boat together, frayed at the cleat. The cargo carefully packed cracks in the bow. I fear secret spilling, a roster undone, many papered lists projected for naught. Now wind fills the sail with a substance I cannot see, a fine thing strong as faith that moves the boat toward the shore while the rain falls against the white and blue. No secrets, no spooks hidden in the helioscope's hinge, no code to crack or map to decipher the journey home. A simple story is all. Each droplet on the lake is a tiny open mouth singing. And then I have 3 poems here that are about my mother, who passed away a little over 5 years ago. And they written at different times after she left us, I think, in different stages of grief. So I wanted to read these together. Where you are now, and this poem is in 2 parts. Where you are now. 1. 100 suns have been burning for the 100 days since the one day that uncurled a fist to reveal your motionless heart. The vivid beam of your body still rises like sap on fire along the steps of my spine, keeping me awake at night. The length of your white thigh blazing, 2 delicate shoulder blades, a breast illuminated against a pillow. 3 months plus, a superfluity of hours on fire, grief rendered to an edgy acuity I'd never have end. I will not bend. 2. At dawn, I leave the house and walk into another one of your unlived days, flaunting itself in flamenco pink and tangerine. As the sun rises, 101, between the birches, brittle and bare of leaves. Skeleton sentinels keeping vigil on the horizon and cradling your bright in their branches. Despite my maudlin pleading, the sun won't quit. The birches keep standing. And here's my own breath composing for the 1000th time its song of love. My inevitable heart still beating. Cricket. The crickets sound sweet after the seasons turn, myriad insect souls intersecting with my own. I'd like to be counted among the most basic, critical as the individual cricket or clematis, just now calling it a day, now that the hyacinth and crocus that slept through winter are roused by spring. Life is calling, even as evening calls forth our undoing. Every childhood terror now become blessing. My mother's 8-year illness has versed me well in how to die. I am no longer afraid at her passing. The crickets humming through the open window trill toward coupling. The tulips in the garden are pregnant with petals. I'm dreaming lately, the white hand of snow falling gentle on bare birch, its limbs pristine and austere against a gray winter sky. I'm dreaming crisp depletion, while the heart my mother made beats warmly against my rib cage, a red moon caught between boughs of bone. This is the sonata of gain and loss, two seasons sounding simultaneously, that I might best hold what thrives and fails without discrimination. My mother's whole life held open like a cup. I will drink it down without compromise. This is the last one about Helen Whitmore. Season, it's in 3 parts. Season. Sweetness rolls down, a bright ball bearing singing nonsense, a brain dead cell that can't think a single thing, a divine idiot, a ghost lobbied over to the other side, into light. This body doesn't know what to do with itself, the body no longer able to hold on to substance. Still, sweetness spills down, a ball bearing rolling through the broken engine, no purpose but to roll and shine and flare. 2. My mother did not turn her face away. Harmony arrived, despite mistakes and the broken angles of plans. All her strategies crumbled in a heap. I used to keep an eye open even in sleep, an ear open for the angels calling her home. Now there is laughter in the sick room. No shame, no shame. It only remains for my mother to rise, a bent-legged foal stumbling toward the ecstasy of pasture. 3. She will lower her muzzle to the ground, tongue wet grass, let her limbs fold into perfect posture. No stress, no striving. She has known this soil before. She has known this sky and rain. When the body becomes one with earth again, the red wings wake and sing, phlox spreads a blue root. I know the name for this, sweetness. Love is enough. Spring is enough. Season of juniper, burgeoning with new berries. Just a few more, okay? This is called The Table, and it is about St. Joseph's Day, which is a Catholic feast day, especially loved by Italian Catholics, not Irish Catholics, Italian Catholics. St. Joseph's Day. Joseph must have been Sicilian, won his Mary over with pasta frolla and zucchata con amaretti after coffee, while blue drained the Mediterranean and the moon lay its white head on water. Breakfast, he'd show up at her house bearing fruta brignata in a basket, succulent figs from his father's orchard, a jug of sweet wine, cool stone cellar fermented and corked with calfskin. Joseph's courtship paints Mary's lips, chachieri and kisses, thighs and breasts spreading honey and gold, blonde soufflé al formaggio belly swelling her robin's egg robe so elegantly, the angels take notice and Gabriel makes his visit. On Annunciation Day, Joseph is in the kitchen splitting a tuna open, pulls the delicate skeleton intact from wet pink flesh prior to stuffing with mousse ai funghi, the loamy mushrooms he found under eucalyptus leaves. And Mary's beneath the grape arbor, licking brine from firm green olives her suitor cured in wooden cask. Until the child arrives, she'll swear it was the pit she swallowed, eating with too much eagerness, tart fruit cracking in her teeth, no thought but for the next. Joseph says the guy who knocked her up will die by the knife he uses to decapitate chickens. calls Mary Madonna Chooch, has his day of cursing all the angels. Then he chooses to believe her, and then he chooses to accept. Although it was only Mary he wanted to feed, surely there's enough spaghetti Milanese and sweet for three. The glass airplane. We're all flying in the same glass airplane, despite disparate countries. Notwithstanding our walls of mortar and brick, a single open eye sees through turbulent weather and worry. Nothing distinguishes us from atmosphere. The earth we think close is miles below our feet. One moon rises white over undulating terrain. My exhaled breath is your inward, two notes of the same song. This much we wish for, to go on living, to love, to know we are loved. Discord breeds harmony when sorrow is held long enough to become singing in minor key. An ear open on the meter of what exists, coda after coda, free falling toward ground, like an engine slipping its grip and stalling until gears finally hit home and the plane levels out between the thunderhead chorus. When someone asks for your coat, say yes. When someone's arms are empty, fill their arms with your body. If you have no coat, ask another for their coat. If your arms are empty, open your arms like the wings of the anhinga and wait. When someone weeps, cry also. The betrayal keeping a wound fresh in your billowing heart, smother it with kisses. Cover your transgressor with kisses. Don't ask questions of foreign language. Speak a third dialect that never gets tangled between tongues. The glass airplane will land without a crack in the country of the beloved, where all bodies remain unbroken and bright. And I will end with this last poem. Still there is this. When I get up, it's dark. Sometimes the moon is sweeping like an eye over the planet and there is frost on the window. By the time I get to work, the sky in the east is golden and I find myself reflected in the black silhouette of trees. But I am not a tree. How does this happen? What goes on in me? The herd breath is mine, but there are those trees standing, emblem of my longing. The sun is rising and the trees and I become light. What part of the body is changed? I know something changes for how my breath stops and then quickens. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was really lovely. So it is my pleasure to introduce the next reader, but before I do so, one, I should say I'm Beth Gully, or Randy would get mad at me because I never introduced myself. I'm Beth Gully and I'm with the Riverfront Reading Committee, and I want to also invite everyone to come out to Zoom on December 13th for our holiday reading, which is an open mic, and if you're interested in reading, if you would let Carl know, and I think Carl will put information about that in the chat as well eventually. But our next reader this evening is Denise Lowe. She was a Kansas Poet Laureate from 2007 until 2009. She is the winner of the Red Mountain Press Editor's Choice Award for Shadowlight. Other recent books are a memoir, The Turtle's Beating Heart, One Family Story of Lenape Survival, and a Casino Bestiary poems, and Jackalope, which is fiction and was acclaimed by Penniless, American Book Review, and New Letters. She edited a selection of poems by William Stafford and an edition with essays by other poets and scholars, Kansas Poems of William Stafford. Lowe is past board president of the Associated Writers and Writing Programs. She has won 3 Kansas Notable Book Awards and recognition from the Poetry Society of America, The Circle, Best Native American Books, Roberts Foundation, Lictor Award, and NEH. Lou has an MFA from Wichita State and a PhD from KU. She teaches for Baker University School of Professional and Graduate Studies. She recently relocated to Sonoma County, California, and lives on Suno Mountain. And Denise, thank you so much for reading for us tonight.
Well, thank you. I mean, this is such a treat. And first of all, I just really want to recommend Susan's book. I turned to it. It's a beautiful production and beautiful words within it and nourishing words. And these are things I sure need these days. So hi, everyone. And I remember Phil Miller used to scold me for reading just 45 minutes instead of a full hour. And those were the days when readings were leisurely. And like I say, it's fun to have time to kind of spread out here and read some things. And I appreciate that and your time. I'm going to start with a few things from a Kansas City book from Spartan Press, and I so appreciate, again, the support from Kansas City and the Lawrence area, of course. This is from a casino bestiary, and Spartan Press keeps doing great books. This is called Imperfect Refraction, in honor of Roger Holden, who has been developing holograms for telephones. And he did video work for a children's reading channel on cable TV. Imperfect Refraction. This is your aging brain. Holograms flicker slivers, images shimmy and fall, reconstituted as flash-dried memories. This is what it's like getting on in years. Convex images pop alive. Inner quick pull screens rerun Brer Rabbit, J-Stew, Roadrunner, high resolution off tilt, skewed and water eyes. Peter Rabbit hops the fence. Skype particles reassemble, beam you back to a Stardate Osiris cruise on the Kaw, that mud-bottom river of no return. And that's fun to read. It's kind of a mouthful, and I should change Skype to Zoom. When I wrote this, people were Skyping more than Zooming, but it's close enough. Another fond memory, Kansas City to me has always been this mythic place. I grew up in Emporia, and once in a while we, like going to the Land of Oz, we go into Kansas City, see the skyline, eat at the Mule Block, Brenton's across from the Mule Block. And one time my music teacher took me in to see the Kansas City Jazz Festival in 1966. This is called Remembering Monk. Thelonious, 2 steps, stage, edges the drummer, thumps a solo, the bass player hums. Monk jigs backwards to the bench, spreads fingers, stares at them, riffles an arpeggio deck of cards, clunks 2 notes together, stops for cymbals, dances, prowls behind curtains, comes back, sits, outlines a rattler spine of notes, benches swing, walks off stage, maybe gone, maybe not. And one of the joys of living in this part of the country is there is great respect and attention paid to jazz. And one of the neighborhood characters is Charlie Musselwhite, a harmonica blues player. And, I run into him at the Mexican restaurant. And once I got to see him play, and this is called Charlie Musselwhite Plays a Solo. I believe it was in the New Letters collection of jazz poems that Dan Jaffe edited or curated. Charlie Musselwhite Plays a Solo. builds a house of 12 bar blues with broken steps. The bell just toned, my baby done caught that train and gone. A trapdoor where he tumbles to hellfire. Flames lick his steel harp. He cries so hard his pain burns. He yowls until all he has left is starlight sugar sweetening night. The bell just toned, my baby caught that train. Sinning never sounded so good. Everything happening, I am to blame. Pitiful angel, fallen so far down, he's all the way up. Couple jazz poems. Miss the blue note. I miss a lot of things, huh? And I'm fortunate to have just entered into a relationship with Red Mountains Press. And this is a book I did with them a couple years ago, Shadow Light. And this is a fall poem, Too Many Green Leaves. Each tree shuffles a deck of cards, one suit each, ginkgos for hearts, maples for clubs. My mother gambles for a last child. One spring day I am born. Oak leaves are broken diamonds. I turn 10 years old. I press scarlet leaves in wax paper, flatten them with a hot iron. I turn 60. Hackberries are spades. Each sawtooth leaf edge sharpens. And another green poem, Green Again. Our primate icons absorb blues, greens, reds. Sight range less than pigeons. My love, your eyes taste of willow groves, not mangoes. Pond water pools in my mouth. The Cherokee word is itzy usti, make green, renew oneself, usti, young one. We plant seeds. Jade maize emerges. The child in my belly dreams green. Underfoot, a zillion grass blades rise. They feed everybody. Our hunter eyes scan. Brown like soil, our fingers rustle sedges, waver barely visible in swamp water. Gentle motions of khaki catfish, whiskers, barbels, smell and taste in a single gesture, always hungry. And one more from Shadow Light from Red Mountain. Ceilings, which was in I-70, and thank you to everyone involved with I-70, which is keeping going despite good times and bad, and they are much appreciated. Ceilings, and set in Paris. I look up just as the Louvre's ceiling Icarus falls from. I love to go walk the beach's intricate crisps. Fractals of mollusks litter a shoreline. Trace here the gritty shallow where we once settled in salt. Left brain, right brain. And full confession, I started out writing this about bisymmetry. And that whole idea that the left hand connects to the right side of the brain and vice versa fascinates me. So this is my left brain, right brain poem. Top of my heart connects to the lower half, a folded paper doll with names of my lovers tattooed in cursive spider veins I can no longer read. My business card reads, the right-hand self devoted to architecture, the left-hand self not. My body stands like a buttressed tower, left leg, right leg, no windows. One hand cuts playing cards thick, beat 'em quick, change hands and say cut 'em thin, bound to win. Deal left-handed for tarot, right-handed for starry arcana. My right hand connects to the left brain hemisphere, left hand to the right. Inside, see stained glass shards, stained Pinot purple. See the wizard crank my Oz brain. Up is down, left is right. Correct my eyesight to read nearsighted text with one lens, the ultraviolet spectrum with the other. Forget the third eye's sight. Tell the daydreams, forget the nightmares. Travel and return at a secret ratio hidden in algebra problems. Tell me, how fast does a 3-pound brain speed into the next train? And I'm going to end with this one, Kaw River Wings. And of course, Kaw River is what we call the Kansas River. They're actually like 100 words for Kansas, and Kaw is one of them. Kaw River Wings, my arm span is a forgotten measure, like a cubit, half length of a hand. My shoulder blades clasp paired muscled wings. A knotted clock ticks one heartbeat to the next, so many thumps to the river. A buzzard shadow stencils fog, it overlaps an eagle's black wings. Below live the mussels, Wichita and pink paper, thin shells, also wings, rosy flanges sliding unseen through mud.
Okay.
So I hope that's a happy ending. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I really loved your jazz poems in particular. And thank you, Susan, also. Your work was so beautiful. I have a quick question before I close everything out. Susan and Denise, if people want to buy your books, is there a way, is there a way you could put that information in the chat for them so that,
I think Phyllis put mine in the chat already, but Denise can still put hers in.
okay, I wanted to make sure people had a chance to notice that. And I know Phyllis put the information in the chat also about the upcoming reading December 13th. And Carl also put in the information if you want to read at that, email Carl and he'll put you on the list. And that is also for short fiction. So if you are not a poet, but you wanted to come and read something really brief at that, please join us at 3 p.m. on Zoom.
And you can sing too, if you want.
Yes.
Oh,
So
you
we would.
out there. Not me, but maybe you.
And Mary Frances, do you have any Writers Place announcements or upcoming events?
Okay, I will make one announcement. Our first reading in January will be January the 15th. It will feature Pat Daneman, Aaron Miriam Goldberg, and Oscar Medina.
All right, thank you. And thank you all for coming. This has been such a wonderful event. Feel free to stay around and chit chat now if you would like.